Go ahead and get started here with Jim McGill from Bear Insider first. Go ahead, Jim.
Hey, Justin. There was an official visitor, at least one this weekend. Could you talk a little bit about that? Are there any new signees that you can talk about?
The two that signed today, Bobby and Kanani. Bobby's a punter from Tallahassee, really talented young guy, and he came out here. It wasn't this past weekend; he was here last month. But a talented specialist that we're excited to bring on board, and then Kamani Hudson, who's from North Shore in Houston, who's a corner, really got really good tangibles and can run, has some good length, and we feel like he's got a big upside. So those are the two that we signed today.
Okay, we'll go to Steve Croner from the San Francisco Chronicle.
Morning, Justin. Uh, I think when we talked the last time, the December signing day, and I asked you, how much of your roster is set and how much of it will be different by the time mid-August comes. And I think you said about 2/3 at that point. At this point now, how close is your roster to being what it'll be in mid-August?
Well, we got 30 new signees. I would anticipate, uh, a few more people in that spring window, kind of that May-June window that would be new names. We'll see how much that grows, depending on spring football and who's available come the spring transfer window. But right now, I mean, the majority is going to be set. I mean, we got 30 new signees, as I mentioned, and then all the returners. So a lot of guys are already on campus and getting to work in these winter workouts.
Okay, the questions the first time around. Okay, any other questions? Please let us know in the chat. Go back to Jim McGill with Bear Insider.
Justin, can you talk a little bit about Bobby? He's been in a bunch of different programs, seems to have a big leg. Can you talk a little bit about his story and what he adds?
Yeah, just a guy that's got a lot of God-given ability as a specialist. That's who you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's got a lot of ability. He's still going to, grow as a player, but, having a punter who's consistent and is a weapon in terms of changing field position. I think we all, you know, we recognize it when you have one and when you're struggling in field position. Coverage is obviously a big part of that. But having a guy that can flip the field and pin people is a big deal. So just a guy that we wanted to bring into the program and continue to work with, and he's shown in his high school career that he's got the tools to do it. So now it's about honing those tools and becoming a consistent performer.
And Kamani's the guy that played for a very good program in North Shore, and he seemed to really just get recruiting attention lately. What do you think kept him off the radar a bit?
Well, I mean, they're still high school guys and they develop at different rates. And I think all of us, whether it's fans, recruiting sites, coaches as well, like, judge people too early sometimes. And that can be dangerous. You can miss people. And so I think he's a great example. I mean, you know, 10 years ago or 20 years ago, this is when a lot of recruiting happened, was in, late in their careers, and the evaluations were done late. And we were able to get an evaluation on him in his senior year, and he did a really good job. And so we're excited about bringing him in. But I think, so many of these judgments are made so early in their careers, and these are still young guys that are growing and developing. And so I think it's important to continue to evaluate them throughout their high school career and into their senior year.
Okay, we'll go to Steve Croner from the Chronicle.
It's just kind of a general question. In the past, say 5 years or so, the way NIL and the transfer portal have changed, as you say, roster management. When you recruit now, do those things make it more or less likely that you're recruiting for need as opposed to just recruiting as many good players as you can?
Well, Yeah, you're never going to turn away a good player, even if you happen to be deep at that position. So, um, are there needs that need to be addressed? Yes. Did we address every single need? We tried to. I still think there's a couple areas where we need to continue to evaluate people in the on the team, and if we get into that spring transfer window, if some talented people become available, then we will be aggressive in going after them. But to answer your question, we're never going to turn away a great player ever. And obviously you want to address needs as they come up, but this is the difference between college and the NFL. We're recruiting, not drafting. And so we've got to do a great job of recruiting and then also developing the guys that are in the program and identifying people who can help us win. And obviously that's great players. And other times there's, role players that we're identifying, but anybody that can help us win. But yeah, at the end of the day, you're not going to you're not going to tell a great player that we don't want him because we're too deep at his position. We will never say that.
Okay, we'll go to Jeff Frado from Cal Sports Report.
Justin, you guys came out of the season seemingly with a quarterback established, but you brought in a couple. What do you expect to be the competition in spring at that position?
Well, I expect there to be competition there. Fernando did a real good job coming in as a freshman midway through the season and becoming the starter. I think he showed some really good things. There's also areas where he's got to continue to improve. I know he's working extremely hard. He is a driven guy, and I think he's going to continue to get better. We also brought in Chandler, who's played at a high level in college. And so, EJ brought EJ in as well. So we're going to continue to bring in as many talented players, just as Steve had just asked, as we can, and then let the competition sort it out. But I'm pleased with the room, and I'm looking forward to watching all those guys compete in the spring.
And I presume Chandler doesn't come in as a transfer without some assurance that he's going to be at least given a chance to compete for that position, huh?
Well, I would say everybody is going to be given an opportunity, whether you're a freshman, a transfer, whether you walked on and had no stars, or you're a fourth-year returning starter who's All-American. Like, everybody's going to get an opportunity because at the end of the day, we want, again, the competition to set the depth chart. And we feel good about that room and some other rooms as well. And we got to get out there on the field and let those things play out and develop.
So this is no reflection on how you think Fernando performed.
No, not at all. We love Fernando. He did a great job coming in as a freshman, did some really good things. I think he's extremely competitive. He's smart. He's very, very tough. The guys on the team respect him. And he's also got areas where he's got to continue to improve, and he'd be the first one to tell you that. So at the end of the day, we want competition at every single position, and we're also not going to go into a season with one scholarship player at any position, or even two. We got to have depth, not only for competition's sake, but also for depth's sake.
Okay, we'll go to Maria Koladova with Rivals.
Hi, Brett Johnson just announced that he's medically retiring. I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about him and some of the other guys that are moving on, maybe like Brian Driscoll, and maybe their effect on the program.
Yeah, man, Brett, what a warrior. I mean, he put a lot into this program and had some really unfortunate circumstances, bad luck, I think you could call it, with the injuries that he suffered along the way. Sorry that he had to go through that. He did a lot for us on the field. He did a lot for us off the field. He's a really well-respected guy on the team, and forever will be a Cal Bear. We appreciate everything that he did and want to help him in his, future endeavors. But man, just a guy that's been through a lot and has persevered and never. He is one of those guys that's going to be able to handle really whatever adversity comes at him because of kind of some of the things he went through here. And so really appreciative of Brett and what he did here, and wishing him nothing but the best moving forward. And then Brian Driscoll, same thing, just another guy that gave a lot to the program, did a heck of a job for us. got the most out of himself. I would tell you that. I mean, Brian worked extremely hard, physically, mentally, to be prepared to play, and I know he's got goals in life, and he's going to be very successful just because of the work ethic and the toughness that he showed as a player here, and also, just the intellect. He's a very, very sharp guy and going to be real successful.
As a
Thanks.
follow-up note to that, we will have Brett available for you here after Coach Wilcox finishes also. We'll go to Matt Moreno from Rivals.
Coach, there's been a lot of talk about just the recruiting calendar and kind of how things are playing out with the transfer portal. Obviously you guys playing in a bowl game. Is there any changes you would like to see to the recruiting calendar to kind of make life easier for you guys as coaches?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of discussion about that right now. When, early signing day, when's the best time for that? You're not going to get consensus across the country because people have different opinions on it for different reasons. But I think having an earlier signing day would be good. Getting these kind of those transfer windows. I know they're attempting to clean those up. I think there's constantly going to be some discussion and maybe some new dates. I don't know when those might, pop up, but yes, it's because of the transfer windows and how early recruiting starts for the high school players. I think there's definitely room for early signing date, and I know there's going to be concerns with that for different reasons, but I think it would be important just to kind of normalize that winter recruiting schedule.
Based on how it is right now, how much have you guys kind of found your rhythm, I guess, in terms of just trying to add talent and kind of figuring out under the current kind of constraints, kind of how it fits and what you guys want to do and when you guys want to add certain players?
Well, we're going to recruit whenever we're able to recruit. So the last few weeks we've been out on the road looking at high school players, watching them, and thinking about that 2025 class, and the winter, that December window, December, early January. There's a lot of transfer. There's a lot of transfer recruiting going on. Still some high school recruiting. So anytime that it's open, we're going to be out there recruiting because that's the lifeblood of the program, and it's critical to our success.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll go to Doug Parrish with Football Organically.
Hi, good morning, Coach. Wanted to touch a little bit about the schedule going on in the ACC. This past season, Cal basically, was defeated by some top-ranked teams in the country, and it was interesting that we barely lost those games. And if you look at the new schedule, and considering all of those teams that we barely lost against, they were ranked in the top 25, right? So the new schedule that's coming out within the ACC is like, so none of these teams appear to be ranked that highly. Do you feel that equates to more wins for Cal in the upcoming season?
Well, what equates to more wins is playing great football. So that's what we're focused on. We got the schedule. There's some excellent teams that we're going to be playing, and some new faces in the stadium, and we're going to go to some different venues. But what's most important is we go play good football. We don't set the schedule, but I can tell you the ACC has some really, really good football teams. And I also know that that league traditionally, and I just learned this today, has had the most one-score games out of any league in the country. So there's a ton of really good football being played, and they're very, very close and competitive games. And so what's important for us is to go, train this winter, have a great spring ball, continue to add and develop talent so we can go play our best ball to give ourselves the best chance to win as many games as possible.
Okay, does anybody have any final questions for Coach?
Well, as a follow-up, you talk about venues. Are there any plans to play at any professional venues on the road in the ACC?
You mean,
Professional stadiums?
Oh
Like,
yeah, Pitt. I guess Pitt would be the one, yeah, because we play at Pitt. Other than that, I don't. I think no, everybody else is
is that there?
yeah campus. So it'll be great. We're looking forward to it.